we may be looking at the end of the Alex Kurtzman era of Star Trek. Now, let that sink in, but don't go off in the comments just yet. Nothing is official. Nobody at Paramount has announced that he's been fired or that he's walking away, but his contract is reportedly set to expire this year. Paramount is now openly talking to multiple writers about the future of the franchise, and for the first time in nearly a decade, 10 years, it genuinely feels like the studio may actually be gearing up and preparing to hand the keys to somebody else. And judging by my comment section every single time his name comes up, a lot of you are probably pre-celebrating. But before we throw him out of the nearest airlock here, I think we need to have an honest conversation about what his era actually gave us, where we think it went wrong, and whether removing one man will really fix Star Trek. Welcome to Chaos Trek, everybody. Jimmy, your Chaos. And today we're going to cover everything from the report, from the comments made by Jane Wiseman. That is the head of the originals for Paramount Plus, and this could be the shift we've all been talking about. This could be really exciting, but it could also end up being a disaster. Okay. She made it clear that Paramount still views Star Trek as an incredibly important IP, but the interesting part was how she described the search for whatever comes next. She said it is their goal and their job to figure out the next bounce of Star Trek. That they're talking to a lot of writers, leaning on CBS Studios, and they're communicating with Paramount Pictures about the movie currently in development. That doesn't sound like a studio with a fully formed optimal plan, does it? Sounds like a studio collecting ideas and deciding which direction they want to go. Kind of sounds like a studio that's lost. More importantly, when she discussed the future of Trek, she apparently did not mention Alex Kurtzman or his production company, Secret Hideout, but that doesn't prove anything. When you combine it with his contract expiring this year, the cancellations we've already seen, and a completely new Paramount leadership team that is coming into place, it feels real. I mean, Kurtzman has previously confirmed that he has spoken with the studio about Trek's future and said those conversations were positive. He also sounded optimistic about his own future, so this is not confirmation that he's going to be gone. Paramount could renew his deal, give him a whole different role, keep Secret Hideout involved while bringing new creative voices into the franchise. There's a lot of possibilities here, and until Paramount makes an official announcement, anybody claiming that Kurtzman has officially been removed, that's just not the facts. But clearly there's a reason so many fans immediately want to believe this is the end. Every time I make a video, every time involving modern Trek, I can almost predict the comments before the video goes live. Get Kurtzman out. Fire Kurtzman. He ruined Star Trek. Star Trek cannot move forward until he's gone. Some of you don't merely dislike the direction of his shows, you view his entire era as nearly a decade of wasted opportunity. Now, whether that's completely fair or not, Paramount would be making a mistake if it ignored how disconnected a large portion of the longtime fan base has become. Now, I don't personally think it's honest to say Kurtzman gave us nothing good. Under his watch, Trek returned to television after more than a decade without a series. That's a positive. Discovery helped make that return possible, whether you like the show or not. Strange New Worlds gave us Anson Mount's Captain Pike and came much closer to the episodic exploration that a lot of fans have been asking for. Lower Decks started out looking like it might be this cheap animated parody and became one of the most knowledgeable love letters to Trek ever made. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot. Picard's third season finally delivered the Next Generation reunion that we all wanted. So you could dislike Kurtzman's overall direction, and we could still acknowledge the good things. Both can be true here. Problem is that the era never felt like it had one clear definition or idea of what Star Trek should be. Discovery began as this heavily serialized prequel. It was redesigning familiar elements, eventually jumped hundreds of years in the future. Then Picard, it started out as this dark personal story about an older Jean-Luc Picard, and then changed direction in the second season, and then became a completely different show in the third. Strange New Worlds, I mean, it moved back toward classic Trek. And then Section 31, well, I'll let you guys decide, and then I'll also let you decide on Starfleet Academy. We're not really going to talk about that one. So there was variety. Trek shouldn't make the exact same show 6 times, right? But variety needs a strong source, a base, a center. And too often I feel like this era with Paramount, they were just throwing every possible interpretation of Trek onto the screen and waiting to see which one survived. And that is where I think a lot of you got pissed off with Kurtzman. It isn't simply fans hate anything new. That explanation has become an easy way to dismiss legitimate criticism. Star Trek fans accepted the Next Generation after the original series. They accepted Deep Space Nine without starship travel from planet to planet. They accepted Voyager being stranded in the Delta Quadrant and Enterprise going back before Kirk. I mean, we complain about them all the time, right? Because that's what we do. We're passionate, but those shows gradually established identities that felt connected to the core of the franchise. Modern Trek, sometimes seems embarrassed by that core. It became faster, darker, more emotional, more focused on these enormous season-long threats. Characters were frequently saving the entire galaxy instead of solving one difficult problem. I think the future felt cynical. Starfleet could feel broken, and entire stories were built around repairing institutions that older Trek had presented as something humanity could aspire towards. Now, there's nothing automatically wrong with examining the Federation's flaws. Deep Space Nine did it brilliantly. I mean, the difference, though, is Deep Space Nine challenged Trek's optimism without throwing it out the window. It placed good people under unbearable pressure, and it asked whether they could hold on to their values. Too much modern Trek started from the position that the values in the institutions were already damaged, and then asked us to wait an entire season for them to be recognizable. So after several shows doing variations of that, I get why people want to reset, myself included. But I do want to say this. Removing Kurtzman will not magically repair anything. One executive producer does not personally write every episode, design every ship, cast every actor, make every decision. Those productions involve studios, executives, showrunners, writers, budgets, all of it. If Paramount replaces Kurtzman with someone else who doesn't understand what people love about Trek, we could easily end up with the same problems under a different name. Another decade, right? So the most important question isn't whether Kurtzman stays or goes to me, it's whether Paramount understands what they're actually trying to build. Trek doesn't need another random streaming show designed to fill a slot on Paramount Plus. We need a strong creative vision that can carry the franchise into the next decade. We need writers who understand that Trek can be hopeful without being childish. It can be intelligent without becoming boring, all of those things. And for me, I think the most obvious path is a return to the early 25th century, out of the gate. Picard Season 3 left us with the Enterprise G, 7 of 9, Raffi, Jack Crusher. The door is open. I mean, I know Star Trek Legacy has been discussed endlessly at this point, but there is a reason people keep talking about it and asking for it. That setting provides this natural connection to the universe that fans love. I mean, it doesn't have to become 8 seasons of cameos and nostalgia. Give us a ship, a crew, and just a largely episodic mission. Let them explore strange new worlds, make difficult decisions, all that stuff. Continue the path. And then, don't get me started on Star Trek United. I mean, if you hit us with Legacy or that continuation, then you hit us with United. Come on. We're talking about something here. We're cooking. Paramount saying it's trying to talk to a lot of writers. That could be really good. I mean, it could if they're genuinely searching for the right idea, but it becomes worrying if it means nobody knows what to do and Trek is entering another long development limbo. Go talk to Sussman. He'll help you guys out. I promise. I promise. I mean, Trek has spent most of the streaming era trying to maintain this presence. At one point, we had multiple shows rotating around throughout the year, and that did give us a lot to digest, but it also diluted the importance of each release. A short break followed by one focused, genuinely great series, to me, is healthy. And back to Kurtzman. I think the fairest assessment is his era is complicated. I think he deserves credit for getting Trek back into regular production, for overseeing several things that worked. He also has to take responsibility for an era that divided the audience. I mean, repeatedly changed direction and never created one universal accepting flagship series capable of leading Trek forward. So if his time is truly ending, if it is, I don't think the response needs to be personal here. He didn't set out to destroy Trek, and people can dislike his creative decisions without acting like he committed a crime, but it is the internet, and that's what people do. But 10 years? That's a long time for anyone to control a franchise this large. Sometimes a new creative voice is necessary. I think the biggest danger, though, the bigger danger, would be Paramount learning the wrong lessons. Fans aren't asking for Trek to become smaller, cheaper, safer. They are asking for it to remember why this universe mattered. So yes, Kurtzman may be approaching the end of his Trek run. And based on my comment section, I already know many of you believe that that is the first step towards the fix. Maybe you're right. Maybe new leadership is exactly what Trek needs, but changing the name at the top, I'm telling you, it only matters if Paramount replaces him with someone who understands the assignment. So I want to hear from you guys. I read every single comment on every single video. Has Kurtzman's era been judged too harshly because of the shows that failed? Or do Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, Picard Season 3, do they deserve to be part of his legacy too? More importantly, if Paramount really is preparing for a new era, who needs to take control? And what should the first new series actually be? I'll see you soon.